Yeah, it's well done.
It's exactly how I remember.
Well done. Ready? We're ready?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good evening to the authority members, to the staff and to anybody who might be watching this evening. I'm going to call to order the May 8th, 2025 Northern Virginia Transportation Authority meeting. And I'm going to ask Ms. Henderson to please read the roll.
Chair Randall,
I am here.
Vice Chair Snyder,
Here.
Chairman McKay,
Here.
Chair Jefferson,
Present.
Board Member DeFerrante,
Here.
Mayor Gaskins, Mayor Davies Younger,
Present.
Mayor Mensing,
Here.
Mayor Reed,
Here.
Senator Boysko,
Here.
Delegate Delaney, Delegate Sewell,
Here.
Mr. Gribben, Mayor Colbert,
Here.
Mr. Cutler, Ms. Robinson. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Authority members, we're going to go straight to item 4, and let me just give you a little bit of background. Item 4 is, of course, the approval. Actually, I'm sorry, we approved the minutes from the last meeting. I'm assuming everybody took a look at the minutes, which were really well done. I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second on that motion? Motion approved and seconded by Mayor Davies Younger. Discussion on the motion to approve. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
We have one abstention. Mr. DeFerrante is abstaining. Thank you very much. The motion will pass. The response to the letter to the House and Senate Committee Transportation Chairs, of which Mr. Laney, who is on the authority with us and was here last year, is one of the chairs. I will say before I make that motion to approve the letter, I did make a phone call to Senator Surville, and I wanted him to kind of just get a heads up as to what we talked about and what the letter was going to say. It was a very pleasant conversation. I invited him to go watch our meeting, but I also gave him just a very quick synopsis and yes, invited him to go watch it. He actually, it was a very positive phone call. And so he knows the letter is coming, expects the letter that's going to be coming, and hopefully we will go forward from here. But I'm going to make the motion. I move the approval of the attached letter to the Senate and House Transportation Committee chairs regarding their requested study on funding NOVA bicycle and pedestrian infrastructures and appropriate a not to exceed amount of $175,000 from the Regional Revenue Fund.
Second.
Motion is made second by by Senator Boysko. Yeah, I gave you a raise there, girl. But sorry about that. By Senator Boysko, discussion on the motion. No discussion. Okay, seeing none. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Wonderful. Let's get on to item number 5, the approval of the 5-year strategic plan. Vision, mission, core values, and goals. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hi, Chair Randall. I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Ms.
Okay,
Singh.
good evening, good evening, NVTA members. So last month I briefed you the overview of our draft NVTA vision, mission, and core values, and the 4 strategic goals that we're going to include in our strategic plan. So with the discussion that happened in April, there was some talk to adjust our mission statement a little bit and specifically call out our core values. So we have edited that mission statement to be, our mission is to reduce congestion in Northern Virginia by planning, funding, and advancing multimodal transportation solutions that reflect our core values of safety, equity, and sustainability. And then there was another edit that I have up on the screen here that's not in your packet. Vice Chair Snyder had some comments to add in collaboration into goal number 1. So we add that edit in purple there, that we start off with the definition of the goal of lead the region's transportation initiatives to, in collaboration with jurisdictions and agencies, NVTA will demonstrate regional leadership to develop and advance multimodal transportation solutions. And with that, that's all I have, unless I'll take any questions.
So let's go to a motion and ask questions within the motion because it's a pretty straightforward item. I move the authority approve the 2025 5-year strategic plan, vision, mission, core values, goals as presented.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded by Chairman McKay. First of all, I think this is very well done, very succinct, and it says what it needs to say. Secondly, thank you, Mr. Snyder, because I think your addition speaks to what we always talk about, which is the importance of regionalism, collaboration, and all those things, and how important our interconnections are. And so I think that's a very good addition. So thank you. Anybody else?
I do have one question, Madam Chair, which is maybe staff can speak to or just help me remember and get up to speed on. April brought it forward. Is there a thinking with respect to public engagement of this? I'm mindful of our role, of this authority's role, but how we would do public engagement on something like this? Is it really just the April and May process, or is there additional pieces to it? Is that informed throughout all our work? I'm looking for sort of a high level summary if there is thinking on that.
Let me re-ask that question. I'm not sure if I heard you. Are you just basically asking how's the public talk to us outside of April and May?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Brevity is this whole.
Well, I'll let staff, but I will say, as chair of the authority, I get emails all the time to my Loudoun.gov email account.
Mhm.
As does Ms. Backman, and she will often send them to me. We don't limit people to talking to us just for 2 months. Anyone can, our meetings are open. They are televised, but there's a whole YouTube channel, and at any time, anyone can reach out to us and talk to us, and they have. The bike and trail discussions from Alexandria and Arlington, I got all kind of
Yes.
emails. From now on, what I'll do is just send all those emails right on to you, so.
I don't need every one. I was trying to ask it.
No, we do them.
nuanced.
We do, yeah. Anybody want to say anything else?
So the next steps after this is that we are going to start working to draft the strategies and metrics that go underneath the goals. So that's going to happen throughout the summer. And we are also coordinating with our committees. So RJAC, the staff level, the jurisdictions, we're getting their input. And then we have TAC and PCAC as well, which again are open meetings and having the public comment through there. So that's the next steps until we'll take the full adoption of the plan in fall. So there's plenty of steps that are still to come with this. This is just the one section, the top pyramid. And everything that we've outlined here is also goes along with our enabling legislation. So there's nothing that we're proposing in here that is going awry of it. It is just solidifying how we're going to come in 5 years.
Very helpful. It was more, I think I've got all the acronyms now in my mind already. And it just does help just to get a little of that context. It was not a gotcha question. It's just genuinely trying to understand. Thank you.
It's a great question. Always a good question to ask about transparency. That's always good. Anybody else? Okay, I made the motion and seconded by Chairman McKay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? That makes it pass unanimously. The next item is the approval of Alexandria's bike and trail pedestrian crossing. Let me ask you, do you know if Mayor Gaskins is coming? Because I can skip this item and then come back. If she's
Definitely not coming.
she's not coming. Okay, then we're going to,
Full council.
okay,
meeting.
then let's go and do the item then. Mr. Longi?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not used to this new role. This project is a pedestrian bicycle and trail project. The $5 million that's going into it is almost all going to construction. The city has done the preliminary work for it. The total cost of the project is 5.5 million, so the authority is making a substantial contribution. There is nothing strange or out of the order with it. It's going to be about
Okay, we can maybe ask questions within the motion. I asked Mr. Snyder with the absence of Mayor Gaskins, does he want to make this motion? Because he is much more than bike and ped person than I am. She would that would require me going outside and on some kind of trail, which is probably not gonna happen. Make the motion.
Yeah, we're all multimodal.
Yeah, no, keep on with the motion.
I'll move authority approval of the proposed standard project agreement 20-22-329-1, City of Alexandria Bike and Pedestrian Trails Construction and Reconstruction.
Second.
Motion, discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will pass unanimously. Oh, any abstentions? The motion will pass unanimously. Let's go on to item number 7, the approval of Herndon Parkway improvements at Worldgate Drive Extension Project withdrawal. Mr. Longi, do you have anything you'd like to add before I go to motion?
No, thank you. I'll just say that we've spent a lot of time working with the town on this, and the town has determined that a lot of the development elements in this area have changed, and so it's better for them to withdraw and come back with a more complete new project. By doing a voluntary withdrawal before there's an SPA or any reimbursements made, there's no negative marks for preventing the town from coming back with this in another iteration in the future.
Wonderful. Let's ask questions within the motion. Senator Boyce, you, I believe this is an area you cover, correct?
It is my neighborhood.
So make a motion, ma'am.
I move the authority approve the town of Herndon's request to voluntarily withdraw the Herndon Parkway Improvements Worldgate Drive Extension Project, HND-005, and reclassify the $4,581,000 approved for the project as uncommitted within the Regional Revenue Fund.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded by Chairman McKay. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion will pass unanimously. Item number 8 is the approval and allocation adjustments for the fiscal year 26 through 30 congestion mitigation air, CMAQ, and regional surface transportation program. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. My name is Alyssa Beyer. This is my first time in front of you today. I'm happy to introduce the CMAQ and RSTP adjustments. As you know, the federal government.
We all just gonna be nice to her the first time?
I hope so. So the federal government occasionally changes budget amounts that just passed on to us through the CPTV. And this time the budget unfortunately went down. The slideshow shows how much it has been reduced per fiscal year. In collaboration with the RJAC and with VDOT, we look at existing allocations and distributed the reductions proportionately. And we have also worked with our jurisdictions and agencies to make sure that we apply the reductions in a way that has the least adverse impacts on ongoing projects. These reductions were approved by the RJAC and will go to the CTV for final approval. And so we're looking for a recommendation.
Wonderful. Any questions? Being
Chair,
none,
I
yeah.
want to be really nice, but I just want to understand this is is this reflective of the change in philosophy of this administration?
I'm unable to speak to that.
Okay.
So she just here. Get out here.
I almost inserted, you don't have to answer that, but if someone knows, that's great. And if no one knows, that's okay too.
No one truly knows, and it's a little early at this point.
Great. That's all I needed. Thanks, man. Yeah.
Ms. Backman, did you want to say something to that?
I was just going to add, this happens on occasion. So like Mr. Longi noted, we can't say that it's due to the administration because this happened before where we've had to go in and make reductions because the estimated amount we thought would be available was lower than what we were showing.
That's also super helpful. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay. Already recommended to the Commonwealth Transportation Boards regarding the proposed allocation adjustments for projects in FY 26 through 30 CMAQ and RSTP funds is presented in the attachment.
So
Second by Mr. DeFerente. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? That motion, you're abstaining? Is there abstaining? No, okay.
Making noise.
Cause I'm here. I don't know what that meant. I don't know what that
in
meant.
favor, but not happy.
And then that we can all go. All right, thank you. The motion will pass unanimously. And now going to hand the meeting over to Vice Chair Snyder for the Finance Committee items. Get ready for those.
Remind people that at the beginning of this year, when Chair Randall asked, what committees do you want to serve on? I said, I do not want to serve on the Finance Committee. I was appointed to chair of the Finance Committee.
Knew what was
No,
coming.
seriously.
Can you get money for this?
It's a very busy committee and one obviously that is engaged in a lot of important work. And it's important that the authority, all the authority members, have a good understanding of what we're doing and why we're doing it. You have in front of you a memo. So tonight, I wanted to just invite Michael Longi to give a shortened version of a lengthy presentation that he gave, outlining the financial environment in which we exist now, and of course, rapidly developing, probably in the wrong direction, but more importantly, the safeguards that the authority has in place to maintain funding of projects for which commitments have been made. So, Michael, you want to just do a short version?
Yes.
Focus on the key points that we've put in place, the key tools and safeguards in place.
This is not in your packet. This presentation was given to the Finance Committee this evening, so I will do a summary and put it in next month's package for you, so you have something in writing. But we had an extensive discussion of the global and national economic factors. They're pretty depressing, and Chair Snyder was very clear not to go into that for time reasons, as well as that's really not the point of the presentation to the Finance Committee. The point of the presentation to the Finance Committee is, despite significant current and projected headwinds, where are we going to be and how are we going to fare? The first thing I have to remind you is that when you look at these same factors, the economic issues that we talked about, and you look at your budgets, your funding libraries, human services, public safety, all sorts of things from that budget. The revenue stream of the authority, the operating budget for the authority is 1% of the revenue stream. So your concern isn't an operating budget concern in terms of dollars. So what I want to go into is the focus from day one, and I'm your first CFO, has been to always make sure that the projects that were approved will have the money there when they need it. That has been in the DNA for us since we started. And the succession of members of the Finance Committee, this board over the years has done everything I think possible, certainly everything asked of them, to make sure that that happens. So this is the good news part. The Finance Committee got bad news, and then now we're going to go right to the good news. So for this fiscal year, we got a clear message from you that you wanted us to focus on project delivery for a lot of different reasons, but it also has an economic benefit. Project delivery, which started this year, staffed by 2 people, actually has come up with 109 million in balance sheet adjustments. Of that 109 million, without going too deep into accounting, of that 109 million, 76.5 million of it is essentially new revenue. It is closing out projects that we're reluctant to close out, or just not, putting the paperwork in promptly, talking to them. The withdrawal that you see tonight is one of those. That 4.4 million will go into that 76.5 million. That's a good example of that. And that was done without any controversy or anything else. So before we even start the revenue estimates, we have 76.5 million positive. The investment portfolio is outproducing the revenue estimates that are built in. This year's positive variance on the investment portfolio could fund the operating budget for 9 years. So again, the focus is making sure there's enough resources for projects. The Route 28 bypass project actually puts $95 million back into PAYGO. The consistently conservative revenue estimates, we actually, when you're estimating revenues for 6 years, and you have to have the money there when you told the project sponsors it was going to be there, we didn't want conservatism to be built into the revenue estimates to the point where they became meaningless. So we take a very technical approach to the revenue estimates and then apply what we call a taper. We just take some of the last 3 years of the estimate cycle money, we just don't put it in PAYGO. And so what happens is each year, some of that money cycles back. When COVID hit in 2020, we had a lot of really negative headwinds that everybody was looking at. It actually wasn't that bad on an economic basis. But we actually released that taper. In talking to the then chair of the finance committee, we thought it was the time to release it. We've since rebuilt it because that's what you do when you have something like a taper. So we've rebuilt it and it's back to where it should be. And it is about a $45 million value. Actually, it's about a $55 million value. We also, as I've said, when we did the last batch of revenue estimates, we just recognized it's been too long since we had a downturn. There's going to be a downturn sometime in this period. And so we built a recession or a downturn and we put it in fiscal 28. Why 28? Because it's not the last year of the estimate cycle when you have no time to maneuver. It's just kind of seemed like the sweet spot. The value of that recession, if you will, in protecting us from problems is about $45 million. We also have a fully funded working capital reserve. This was established because in 2014, when the authority was General Assembly, in House Bill 2313 first came up, that was the first time in a very, very long time the state came close to crossing the fiscal year without a budget. And while our revenue is not tied to their budget in terms of, it's only tied to the state budget in terms of processing. If there is no budget, there's nothing to write the checks against, and we wouldn't be considered an emergency exemption. So we funded $120 million working capital reserve. We also have approximately a $1 billion credit capacity. We could do a 3-year loan, we could do a 5-year loan. We don't have to do 20, 30-year loans. I can see some projects, potentially coming up that we would, only take out a 7-year loan for, because it's a responsible way, to do that. The first 6-year program that we funded in 2018 was $1.3 million because we did 6 years all at once. Now we're doing 2 years in every 2-year cycle. And so we went from the 1.3 to the 539 million, 625 million, and then the last one was 696 million, so just under 700 million. We will be able to honor those commitments. I have no doubt in my mind. The question will be, how much do we have for the next 2-year update? So as we look at the issues that we're facing, the first priority is to fund the projects you've already approved. And I have no doubt that we'll be able to do that. And we can do it, in basically 2 essential functions. We have what we call structural capacity, that $55 million plus the $120 million working capital reserve is $175 million. We have the project delivery dollars that are still growing. That's $76.5 million, plus the $95 million that goes back into PAYGO from the Prince William County cancellation of Route 28. They have refunded the money that was paid to them from the authority, which we appreciate. It was very easy. That's $171.5 million. So we have $346.5 million that is roughly half of our last spending program. So I know you have a lot of sleepless nights ahead of you. You know, whether you're with the General Assembly or whether you're the town, county, or city. But I don't think NVTA is something you need to lose sleep over. And I thank you as a governing body for giving us as staff the tools to, be able to position me to be able to sit here and tell you the wisdom of your prior decisions on how you've structured reserves and how we've been allowed to estimate revenue has given us it gave us the flexibility to address COVID, and it will definitely give us flexibility moving forward in the future. The question really boils down to how big will the next 2-year update be, which isn't a bad position to be in, relatively speaking. So with that, I'd be happy to, I know I threw out a bunch of conventional numbers. I will provide an insert into next meeting's packet that kind of recaps this. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Well, before I hand it back to Mr. Snyder, the Chair of Finance Committee, I would say that really for you and Ms. Backman and Deb and your whole staff to thank you all, because you do have conservative policies, but as you say, not so much so that it locks you up and doesn't allow us to do anything. You don't get a balance sheet like that without the staff doing an amazing job and having a lot of forward thinking and thinking about what's coming next. And so really, really good job. Really good job. So the Finance Committee did hear the bad news first, and the bad news was that. And then I asked 2 questions. One of the questions I ask is, MBTA has the highest possible bond rating for this type of organization. And I asked the question, since we are an organization that is full of people from other organizations, could our bond rating be impacted if any of the localities in MBTA's bond rating went down, their ability to borrow went down, anything happened that was unfortunate with any other locality, could that impact the MBTA's bond rating? And that was like one of my bigger questions.
Yeah, not directly. Obviously, if the economic risks come out, you have different revenue sources, real estate, personal property. A downturn in those revenue sources would not impact the authority's credit rating.
Good, very good. Mr. Snyder.
Thanks a lot. Does anybody have any questions at all? We'll expect regular briefings for the authority on this as things develop. But I wanted you to hear at least a short version. All the data that he talked about will be in next month's report, and I'm sure the Finance Committee will be looking at this as well. So,
Dave, I do have one question.
Sure.
I know the answer to it, but I just want to hear it. Following up on Ms. Randall's question, the same is true of WMATA. I mean, we engage in projects with them quite frequently, and obviously their bond rating, because of what just happened in the district, potentially is affected. So I just want to make sure that we know the jurisdictions, but do we have that same confidence level if something happens with WMATA?
I personally would not, because of one feature. You are paying operating expenses for WMATA. We are a purely capital funding entity. If the authority was paying operating expenses, I wouldn't have made my earlier statement.
What I thought. Okay, thank you.
any other questions? No? Thanks very much. So we'll go then to the regularly scheduled program here, from the Finance Committee, the investment portfolio report. Michael, anything there? And I want to compliment the entire finance team for just really a great job in every area. Anything there you want to focus on?
I would just note, as Ms. Sen pointed out to the Finance Committee, we have bonds laddered out to 5 years that are earning 4% and 5% interest rates. So interest rates are expected to come down, but the portfolio, which will always eventually follow the market, but that following of the market on a downward trend should be delayed because of those investments. Likewise, we have enough liquidity and cash flow that as the market comes back up, we can quickly jump on interest rates as they get back up. So where in past years, we've kind of seen the portfolio return bouncing along the bottom. That's because we started it when a good interest rate was 0.25%. But we've been able to lock out enough money with a longer maturity and still be reasonable. So I think the portfolio performance is it will follow the market, but it's not going to follow the market if the market does a crash dive on us.
Okay, any questions on that? Thanks. Then the monthly revenue report.
I think revenues we're watching them very closely, but I'm not worried about them. I won't say that. I'm not too worried about them. And I'll just go to the operating budget report. We are 75% of the way through the fiscal year, 65% of the budget's been used, and that difference is mostly tied up in some large expenses that just haven't come up to be paid yet. So we're in good shape on that.
Okay, thanks very much. Any questions from authority members on any of these items or any other finance items? Okay, not seeing any. Chair, back to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So Ms. Blackman is not here for the CEO report. I will tell you that Ms. Blackman's in Canada at a conference. I spoke to her this morning, and she will be back in a couple of days. She's doing just fine. But she's in a conference in Canada. Did you have anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, she did. She did want me to let everybody know you saw kind of a mini BRT pop up as you walked in this evening. That is, it's very much like what goes out into your neighborhoods to talk about the BRT action plan. And on June 24th, the authority is hosting the Construction Management Association of America's Women in Construction Conference. And they said that you are welcome to join. So we'll be sending details out.
Sounds interesting. Okay, thank you.
I wanted to point out on page 8 of the project status report in the CEO report, there's mention of 2 false starts projects not reporting. I brought this to the attention of management, and they will fix that very soon. It was not ignored.
They will
fix action. That hasn't occurred already. Will occur very quickly.
And they have already contacted us.
So says Dave Snyder. All right, wonderful. I just have 2 things. One, point of personal privilege. I hope all of you have received my invitation to my annual State of the County address. It will be held a week from today in my boardroom, and all of you are invited. So if you have not received the invitation, let me know. I'd love to have you there. Especially Jeff, since we're supposed to be exactly like in every way. And then the other thing is sad news. We have one of our town members who's often represents the towns on MBTA, Derek Woods. His brother passed away. Derek is a wonderful, lovely, kind, fun, and very effective mayor of the town of Dumfries, and his brother passed away. The services will be on Monday, and he asked me to send that information along, so I do that. I think that's all the comments I have. Is there any other business right now for the good of the body?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
One more quick thing. Please take a look at the display on the bus rapid transit out there, and I understand that they'll be doing a lot of pop-ups around the region. And I just say there are a lot of lines on a map that aren't reality yet, but I remember when the solar line was just a line on the map as well. So we're hopeful that there's good precedent for getting a lot of these done sooner rather than later. So thanks.
Would you like me to start the meeting over? I can.
That would be so good.
Hey.
Yeah, the CTV meeting.
That's
Right.
Well, listen, I'm sure that this was a more fun meeting than that one to be at, so give you that. If there are no other comments, we are indeed adjourned.
I think they. You two are the only two.